Is it on?
Yeah, it's on. It's on. All
I'll tell
right.
you what else is going to be on. Tyler. First off, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I feel naked because I don't have any booze for this episode, and we're doing LSU, which I feel like is a missed opportunity.
Yeah, we should have been drinking bourbon. We'll wait for some listeners to get in here in the comments and the viewers to get up a little bit before we start.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have been drinking bourbon. That was a big mistake. But I'm sick, so I probably shouldn't be drinking alcohol at all.
I just like anybody with kids, I feel like gets sick like every 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's true. This is the most
Your
I've
life
been
is
sick.
like what I tell my boss like at least once a month. Like, oh my god, I got food poisoning. Ah.
Right. Because I thought I actually do.
Yeah, a lot. It's always sick.
Yeah.
Do you like the new digs? I finally got the camera set up.
Like that. It says ATL Ho in the back. Do you like you like what I put on the TV back here?
Yeah, the color seems off. I can't tell if that's like what
it's not off. It's exactly what you sent me. It just looks weird on the camera. It's the exact thing you sent me.
So the graphic looks good, right? I mean, like graphic looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty sick, man. I won't lie.
Yeah.
All right, we got a couple viewers in here. We'll wait a little bit longer.
How come I can't see the viewers? Does this look cool if it's like this hood behind my ears? Like I saw it like on an episode of Laguna Beach a while back, and I figured it like I would try it out.
The problem with that strategy is that Laguna Beach is like nearing like 20 years or over 20 years ago.
I based my whole life on that.
Rick Taylor.
Rick, what's up, big dick Rick? I don't know what that means. I don't know. It felt aggressive. We have some stuff to talk about. Speaking of big dick energy down on the plains.
The Tommy Lee tweet today.
No, so I missed that. What happened? Oh, hold on. Before we fucking get into this, first and foremost, before we start talking about dicks, make sure you join us in 2 weeks. Wait.
We're gonna say it on the podcast when we actually start recording.
I thought we were already doing that. I don't.
We're live, but yeah.
Okay,
you got me.
Just fucking do whatever.
We won't talk about dicks on the actual podcast, but just go to Tommy Lee's Twitter account real quick and just look at the last tweet that he had. It's a doozy.
He blocked me actually. So.
Oh yeah. All right. Let's get rolling. Ready?
What the fuck? Like you're giving me so many instructions. What's his handle?
I don't know. Just look up Tommy Lee Twitter.
I follow a lot of Tommy Lee Jones like fan accounts. So
not Tommy Lee Jones, dude.
He just why did you make me do that?
I don't know.
He posted on Instagram?
That's on Twitter. I don't know if it's on Instagram too.
Wow.
All right. You ready to get started?
No. You know what though? We'll say
flustered. You're flustered now.
I'm very flustered. So are we on yet?
We're live, but we haven't started recording the actual podcast.
Just start recording it, then I have so much to say.
You look like Pete Davidson. All right, ready?
Thank you. I've been losing weight.
3, 2. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the College Football Uncensored podcast, brought to you by Saturday Down South.
Here's my thing, Tyler. Right off the bat, let me just tell you something right now. Tommy Lee, before we started this fucking show, right before Tyler started counting down, he forced me to go look at an Instagram/Twitter picture of Tommy Lee, not Tommy Lee Jones, because that would have been way worse.
Just Tommy Lee.
His name's just Tommy. Of course it is. That's so cool. Tommy Lee, his dick, which we've all seen that dick before. If you were 11 and grew up when the internet first came around, we've all seen that dick. But I will say, I feel like people think that we're so united now as a country. And I think this dick pic, yeah, not united. I mean, like not united. What's the opposite of that?
Okay.
Divided. I feel like this is going to sound kind of crazy, but I'm going to say it. I think that actual specific dick pic, that lone Tommy Lee dick pic, maybe the olive branch that we needed, because before now it was just always branch. That bald black dude whose dick was like hanging off that waterbed onto the floor.
Right. Tommy Lee's the new guy. All right. Things are spiraling. Let's start over. Ready? Officially recording. No more.
All of that stays in the show. We're live.
All right.
It wasn't a cold open for Tommy Lee, am I right?
Let's just get going. Ready?
The Hamaconda.
All right, everybody. 3, 2. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the College Football Uncensored podcast, brought to you by Saturday Down South. I'm your host, Tyler Huck, and with me, as always, my co-host and Tommy Lee lover,
First off,
Chris Marler.
if you don't keep every bit of that inspirational speech I just delivered, I'm gonna be fucking pissed. Anyway,
man.
if you're late to the show, we like, listen, we're professionals. We like to. Listen, we're getting to the nitty gritty. We're like 18 days from football.
Oh yeah.
I think, I don't know, but I tell you what,
which means we're 17 days away from the live event.
I'm fucking getting there, Tyler. Yeah, I know. I can do the math. My girlfriend's a math teacher. So if you have not seen in the Facebook group, because I don't know, but maybe you were taking a few days off of Facebook and being healthy, or maybe, I don't know, the post just keeps getting buried behind Georgia fans who are still screaming into the abyss saying that I was told, and then blah, blah, blah. But good news, and it's officially official, we are hosting, we're not hosting, our good friends at American Spirit Works Distillery at the Battery in Atlanta have decided, probably against their better judgment, to host a live event and a college football kickoff party for the 22 season. It is Friday, August 26th from 7 to 9. I tried to make it from 6 to 9. We couldn't swing it. Would have
been preferable.
August 26th, it's a Friday night, 7 to 9 p.m. And there's going to be, we're going to have, like I said, kickoff party, a listener meetup. We'll do like a live Q&A. We're not going to be recording a pod. It's not going to be a live pod necessarily. We're just going to be hanging out, drinking some fantastic bourbon and all sorts of other fine spirits.
And they have some good stuff.
They do. And you know what's the best part about this is, like, I mean, I'm sure you saw, like, I've been hard at work in the lab making some new stickers, and I'm pretty fucking pumped about it.
Yeah.
But that's not even the main attraction, because American Spirit Works has already decided to bless us with just several free giveaways and prizes to listeners. We have not only hats, shirts, all sorts of ASW merch. We also have free booze to give away.
Free booze.
So, I mean, some of you fans are going to fucking need it, okay? Vandy opens up the next day at Hawaii. We're going to get into our feels.
What a matchup. Is it at Hawaii?
Yeah.
Wow. Good for those guys. Good for the Vandy. Any Vandy fans in the chat? And I know there's a lot out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Chime in if you're headed to the Hawaii game.
It'll be a lot of fun. We'll do it'll be a fun night filled with, we have like bourbon tastings. We can do a tour of the distillery. You're going to get caught in so many awkward handshakes turned into a side hug from me. I mean, your head's going to spin. Okay. And then, like I said, we will do some giveaways and a live Q&A. And also maybe we'll do like a TED Talk or read the vagina monologue, since we've been talking about dicks so much on this show today.
Fantastic. Where do we go from here? We are previewing LSU tonight, so that will be the bulk of the show. But there is some drama going down up in Lexington that we wanted to talk about as well. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to.
Is it drama? I mean,
no, I don't think it is. I think like I just don't. Mark Stoops is not the thing. I think with that we lose sight of on social media is that most people are fucking adults. So if there's an issue with something, I know Mark Stoops quote tweeted Kyle Tucker or whatever, but I'm sure he had already spoken to Cal, and there's not any sort of awkward, bitter, whatever. It's definitely fodder for the media to overreact to, which is great because I get to do that for work. But no, I'm sure it was blown a little bit out of proportion. Cal does look like a douchebag. You know what my first thought was, and I feel like you'll probably back me up on this. Big Jimbo vibes.
Yeah, big Jimbo. I agree with that. I didn't think of that until you just said it. I like that.
I knew you'd agree. Anything negative about Jimbo, you love. I'm pouring myself a.
Yeah, I feel like you're kind of in that party too now, though. After the whole Jimbo Saban thing.
Oh, that's not why I dislike him. I do dislike him, but I think yeah. I mean, like what you kind of laid all that out when he was at FSU, and it's just. Like that whole, oh shit, like I underperformed. I had to cover my ass. So let me just gaslight everyone and blame anyone but myself.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of Jimbo, did you see that fucking video of their quarterbacks going through drills today?
With Damian Craig? Yeah. Well, what was that? The like little hop pass thing?
Most effeminate Tebow jump pass imaginable.
Damian Craig was on. He actually landed Jameis Winston at Florida State. So
Damian Craig is something else, I guess.
I'll
Anyway, no,
review
it's kind of funny. The Kentucky thing, like bottom line, it just cracks me up now. Like we're so close to the season, which I think you should be getting more and more excited. But I think what it leads to is people getting more and more unhinged and like off the rails on social media. Like the takes are just fucking crazy.
They are. When are they not on Twitter though? You know?
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, some guy like tried to bum rush the FBI today and was shot.
What?
Yeah.
I don't like how you delivered that news at all. Why did you open with Tommy Lee's dick and then just throw that in at the tail end of our intro?
There's just a lot going on.
Listen, we did this last night with Auburn, and somebody flat out told me, one, you look like I can tell you have bad breath just from your profile picture, which seemed hurtful because I was chewing gum at the time. And then also, you're lucky I don't come to Atlanta and beat your ass, you little leprechaun looking ass bitch. Which I sometimes struggle with self-esteem. Not currently, but a leprechaun. He said I looked like I was 3'8" and 156 pounds. So basically, like the inner part of a Russian stacking doll of Mark Bangino.
It'd be a really fat leprechaun.
Yeah, for sure.
Damn, dude. Why were they so mad?
I don't know. I mean,
interesting. Well, yeah, I think the Kentucky stuff. I mean, Coach Cal, I think he's one of the douchier guys in college sports, in my opinion. Stoops, I'm surprised he even got involved. I mean, he's always been kind of a low-key guy. By the way, shout out to when we saw Stoops at the college football award show that we went to years back.
I don't remember that.
Remember?
I remember Gundy. I don't remember that.
And we just saw him, and you were like, "Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's a bad story."
Hell of a story,
dude. Well, we've got two guests tonight for LSU.
Yeah, is there anything else we're missing right now? By the way, like Bama had a receiver get injured. I don't want to get into that. It's top 25 week on SDS. I would feel like we should promote the site, but they don't even promote us. So it's like, whatever. Who fucking cares? Check it out if you want to. If you don't. Check out the podcast as often as possible. Yeah,
gotta go to the website, SaturdayNightSouth.com. Top 25 week. Lots of top 20. Everybody loves rankings this time of year. Really any time of the year.
You know, yeah, for sure. And also the one thing about rankings, and I never envy anyone having to do this job. I honestly felt bad for Connor having to do this because, just no matter what you put out, someone's gonna be like, "You fucking clown." Like, some fan base is gonna be mad. Like, stop sleeping on so and so. My favorite's when they tag. Like, my favorite trend before I was done was you would see these kids feel like stop sleeping on so and so, and then they would put the clown emoji 3 times, and they would tag the player that we apparently were sleeping on, and then I would get like upset and click on their profile, and it'd be some kid that was like, "What's up, dude? My name's Jackson with 2 X's, and I play lacrosse. I'm class of 28." And I was like, I can't even do that fucking math. Like, how old are you? Just publicly shaming me. This kid's in fucking 3rd grade, maybe 7th, maybe graduate.
Jack's on the lax team. Am I right?
Dude, that's a missed opportunity. He didn't use that name for sure. But
Chat sounds like you're going to the live show, which, hey, look, if you want to do a set, Drake, we'd love to have you.
Anyway, the last thing I say about the top 25 rankings is I looked at one, and it was Matt Hayes, who has once again said that Kirby Smart is the best coach in college football. Listen, and I say a lot of stuff to make people upset. I base most of my relationships off that. So I get it. But anyway, check out the podcast.
I think he's right.
You're a fucking idiot. 4 against Saban.
Mickey wants to talk 2019 LSU. Well, should we just do the whole podcast in 2019 LSU?
I don't think that.
Do we really want to preview we don't know much about the team. How can we preview them?
They've already peaked, and it was literally with my question at media days. Oh yeah, I gotta send that thing to Matt. Hold on.
That was fantastic. All right, send the link to our first guest. In the meantime, yeah, I hope some of you guys or a lot of you guys can come out to the live show. It'd be great. I haven't met basically any of you.
We haven't hung out in years. How do I fucking do this,
Tyler? You see that little invite button there?
No.
Down at the bottom?
I see leave studio share settings, stop cam, and mute. Stop cam.
All right. The other thing you could do is you could in the group chat we have with our producer, you could hold down the link that I sent for you to join.
So much.
Copy it and then send it to the guest.
I'll tell you. Oh my god, I'm entering a different fucking portal. I hate. Why don't you just do this?
Oh my lord.
Oh my lord.
All right. Let's click here. Click here.
Running blender. That's
click here. Click here.
Robert St. Jean took some glamour shots on Facebook, so congratulations to him. Do you want me to just tell you his email? How do we do this? You see it?
I got it. I got it taken care of. All right. Hopefully he responds to that, and we'll wait for him to join.
Okay. Hold on. He just sent you.
There's some weird chat going on in the chat. I won't do a set, but you have my permission to promote the event, saying Drake might show up and do a set with no further context. Thank you,
No, we did
Drake.
Drake From tonight. Drake Farm. Drake From. What if Jake From decided to really get into this whole radio personality and podcast thing and change his name to Drake From? Really, really try to. I mean, he's gonna go bald. He might already be. I don't know. So it's not gonna last for long.
So am I. Speaking of that, if I'm feeling better tomorrow, I'm gonna go up and see our last guest, Drew Butler, and Jake Fromm. You going?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you didn't say anything in the group chat.
Tyler, I have 138 unread texts.
Well, that sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, for sure. Hold on, my lady is bringing me a beer. Already got her train, brother, huh? Am I right? Thank you so much. I'm sorry for everything about me.
All right, our guest is here.
What's up, dude?
I'm so glad y'all are drinking. So am I.
Yeah, you're drinking something better than Tyler's not. He's a narc. Just throwing that out there. It's
no.
Have you guys
but
met?
I am excited. Yeah, well, this is our first time meeting. What's going on, Matt? How's it going, Tyler?
Tyler, what's good, man? Nice to meet you.
I'm excited to learn a little bit about LSU because I'm a Florida State alum, so I want to know what's going on in this first game.
I think LSU is going to win it.
All right. Well, that's the end of the show. You got.
Hey, I want to know if Florida State actually bought 30,000 tickets, because the word down here is that LSU fans stormed Florida State's website and bought tickets through Florida State
on January 6th. They stormed the site?
No.
You knew I was going to do something.
You're talking to the least political human being.
When we did the interview at Media Days, I could not. I'm not going to put this. I have to take my shirt off to put that on. That's the only reason I brought it up is because you got so uncomfortable. I brought up the Biden-Harsin question. Also, this chair looks comfortable, but it also looks like you're wearing a fucking 1990s neck roll.
You know what? That's a good point. Take that out.
Oh, wait! It's
a bad look.
More comfortable. What are you doing?
No, it's a bad look, and I wasn't even leaning back on it. No, you're right.
It's a cool look.
It's all about framing the shot.
I haven't heard that. I do know quite a few people going, but I wouldn't be surprised. Let's just say that Florida State fans aren't exactly at peak excitement about the team these days.
Okay, so that's a good question though. I kind of get year one with Norvell is the COVID year, so in some degree you kind of flush it. And, last year there was improvement. Florida State was close so many times. You look at the opener against Notre Dame. It goes to overtime.
Yeah.
Tyler had a very famous tweet after that. He said, "All I know is we got our coach. We got our guy. We got the right guy."
That was tough. And then we lost it. It was tough to revisit that tweet the next week when we lost to Jacksonville State.
Yeah. That was brutal. I don't know. That's the dreaded moral victory, man. The close loss to the good team. That got Charlie Weiss a lot of money in South Bend with the Bush Push game.
Yeah.
So right. I would way rather, be associated with a program that actually values winning the game. No disrespect.
Yeah.
Anything about that.
Sure.
But I do. So specifically with the game, I think it's going to be a de facto home game for LSU. LSU does still have a lot of talent. I think their roster is better than Florida State's. And I think Brian Kelly's just a better coach than Bell, and he'll maximize this roster. Look, make no mistake, LSU's got issues, and I don't think this is a cakewalk, but I do think LSU will find a way to win the game.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, they're favored, and I would agree. But there's been some interesting injury rumors in Tallahassee the last few days that have me very concerned. Yeah,
Who's
but
hurt?
what? Do tell.
There's just rumors right now. Well, actually, one of them was actually announced out for the year. So our starting center was rumored to be injured today, and the backup center tore his ACL on Saturday.
Oh,
so he'll be in 2 years
that's
for
good.
Sure.
Yeah, because the O-line has really been a strong point. But do we gamble?
Yeah. Okay, good. Here's one of the best angles I've ever found. And this is an NFL angle, but I think it does translate to college football. Now, it may not be in the preseason, but keep this in mind. In a given week where a team loses its starting center, it fails to cover 80% of the time.
Is this a real stat?
Real stat.
Moscona, I'll fucking quote this for a decade after this. Like, is this real?
You flip the vowels. It's Moscona, not Moscano. It happens a lot. Just point of clarification. But yes, honest to goodness, good. I like your hat. Good stat. By the way, how is an Alabama guy wearing an LSU hat, and the Florida State guy has an LSU background?
I made that background first off.
We're previewing LSU.
The purple carpet, if you will.
I'll preview Alabama on my show, but I'm not wearing a houndstooth hat. What the hell's wrong with you guys?
Well, yeah, it's not 2005, so you don't understand fashion for one, Matt. Second off,
okay, I wouldn't wear what's the little logo that with the elephant?
Oh, the locker room.
Whatever. No, like the crimson. It doesn't matter. Whatever frat thing that
we get the point.
People would wear to a game. I'm not wearing that when you come on my show.
Well, I mean, I apologize for wearing this hat. I can take it off for sure. I think so. My thing is like, there's you guys are just such a non-threat to my favorite team nowadays. So it's like it doesn't really bother me, man. Also, I will, all jokes aside, I fucking love Baton Rouge. It's like my favorite place. Like, I mean, it's better than Tuscaloosa for fucking sure. We're going this year. We actually just got that approved, and we're gonna go down there with some of our buddies. I love Baton Rouge, man. I love Death Valley, all that kind of stuff. And also, I just love college football. It's cool. A cool ass tiger.
So it is a really good hat. I actually have a story behind that logo if you want to hear it. This may bore everybody, but the other part you said about not being a threat. Do you realize the worst LSU team in a quarter century came this close to beating Alabama in Tuscaloosa last year? A transcendent Alabama team.
Man,
I thought you rooted for a program that doesn't love moral victories.
I'm not saying moral victories. He said no threat. That's a threat, brother.
Okay. So here's the thing.
I'm not celebrating it. I'm not hanging a banner.
No, I know that. I think so. I went back and watched the fourth quarter of that game at some point. I forgot why. LSU had legitimately 4 chances where they should have won that game. Like 6 yards rushing for Bama. One of my favorite, most bizarre things, and this is saying something for like involving Coach O. Did you ever after that when Coach O's walking off the field and he's doing this to the stands and people are like, go ahead.
I was going to wait for you to finish because I was going to tell Tyler that if you're like, seriously, I lost my mind on the postgame show because LSU loses the game and Ogeron's running off the field, pumping his L's and I'm like, this is what this program has become under this climate. Right. You lose a game in Tuscaloosa and he's celebrating because you almost didn't lose a game in Tuscaloosa.
I don't think I defended the shit out of him because I just assumed he wasn't doing that. I was like, surely he wouldn't do that. And then you watch the replays and he is 1,000% going up to this, like the student section. He's like, fuck you guys. Like, I think that was like his last hurrah. But I mean, either way, you're right. They definitely should have probably won that. But the other thing,
was he already fired at that point?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
remember what he said when he came into his last post-game interview after was it the A&M or Arkansas game? And they're like, what do you have planned? Like, what's next for Coach O? He's like, I'm going to Destin. It's like,
and save for a few trips to Miami. He's just hanging out in Destin.
Yeah. Well, but what I wanted to bring up was this, because I didn't realize this. After media days, I always have like the best time with like the LSU contingent, like you, T-Bob, Hester when he isn't gelling his hair, PB, all those guys, right? Gordy, who we're gonna have on here in a little while. But I was filling out my predicted order finish. And I feel like I got carried away because I've had I don't even know how it wasn't anything against LSU necessarily, but when it was all said and done, I had them finishing 7th in the West, which is fucking preposterous. I don't Brian Kelly's way too good of a coach for that to happen. They've done a great job in the portal. Talk me out of, or just tell me I'm stupid. Why is that a terrible pick? Where do you think is what should expectations be, and where do you think they ultimately finish?
So the reason why the 7th in the West thing, why you could talk yourself into it, is because there's no obvious 2. And when there's no obvious 2, unless if there's a Vanderbilt, which there isn't in the West right now, there's no obvious 7. So that's the tricky part. Where I think what happens this year is Bama clearly is the best team in the West, and they'll win it. They'll win it easily, especially with their schedule with Vanderbilt rotating on. I'm going to get Tennessee and Vanderbilt from the East. Alabama, just book your trip to Atlanta. You're going. But I think everyone else in the West is going to end up in that 4-4 range. And so tiebreakers could be the variance between finishing 3rd and 7th. I mean, it could be something that goes like that. And I mean, where LSU falls in that, I think depends on where they finish. I think LSU is an 8-4 football team. I think they have to start 4-0, which means, Tyler, they got to beat Florida State and they got to beat Mississippi State at home. And then you can break LSU's schedule into 3-4 game basically seasons. They need to go 4-0 to start. The next 4, I think they need to go 2-2. They got road games against Auburn and against Florida, and home games against Tennessee and Ole Miss. You need to split those 4 games.
Fuck.
And then your last 4 games of the season, you're home against Bama, which you're going to lose, but you also get UAB, which you should win. And you have road games against A&M and Arkansas, and you need to split those. You do that, you're 8-4, and I think that's a really good first year for Brian Kelly, considering the mess he inherited, to start to steer the ship in the right direction. If you want I know you asked about the floor. I think with LSU, this team, I don't think their ceiling is as high as some LSU fans want it to be. Mm-hmm. Largely because of the schedule, and then Bama's in the division and all this sort of stuff. But I also don't think the floor is as low as it's been. Brian Kelly has been a head coach now for 32 seasons.
That's crazy.
This will be his 33rd season. In 32 years, he has had 2 losing records. His first year at Central Michigan, and that random one-off at Notre Dame when they were 4-8 and followed it up with back-to-back double-digit win seasons. Right. So, he's just, we see it. I mean, we were at practice today. They actually we got to watch the entire practice today. The whole practice was open to media. First time that's happened in a quarter century at LSU. And you can just tell the competency, the efficiency. There's no wasted time. Everything is with intent and purpose. They've got, like I said, they've got roster issues and spots that they'll have to deal with. And some of them will probably hit and some won't. I'd say a best case for LSU is what happened with Michigan State last year. Mel Tucker went up there, and remember, he brought in 30 transfers. It was the whole roster was transfers. Kenneth Walker, and all the close games they won. They got blown out a couple times, but they won 10 games and went to a New Year's 6. Now that's
and the worst SEC in the country. No one just overshadowed it.
Yeah, I think that is a stars align best case for LSU, which I don't think happens. I think the SEC, and in particular the schedule LSU has to go against, is too tough. But I don't think the floor is as low as them finishing 7th in the West.
Right. So the quarterback room is pretty interesting. I think I saw today that Jaden Daniels has been taking snaps with the ones, at least today. Transfer from Arizona State. You got Miles Brennan back for his 18th year there at LSU. Garrett Nussmeier, highly decorated recruit. A lot of people thought maybe he might take the job. Your opinion, who's the starter at game 1?
So I do think it's going to be Jaden Daniels, but I want to give you a little caveat here. So Nussmeier had been taking the first reps, but he tweaked his ankle. Brian Kelly described it as kind of like in basketball where you just you land on someone's shoe and turn it. He said it was grade 1, it's super mild. He may even practice tomorrow, but this is a Nussmeier-Daniels race. Miles Brennan's not in this thing anymore, and it's pretty evident too. And Brian Kelly and Mike Denbrock, it's just obvious what they want out of their quarterback. They want a mobile guy, and look at all of Brian Kelly's offenses at Notre Dame. If it was Ian Book or Deshaun Kaiser or Everett Golson, or name it. I mean, throughout the years, even back to Tommy Rees, he's always had quarterbacks that can move the pocket, make plays with their feet. That's not Miles Brennan. Even Desmond Ridder last year at Cincinnati with Mike Denbrock. I mean, just look at what they do offensively. So it's going to be Nussmeier or Daniels, and Daniels has started 30 career games. They didn't have to go add Jaden Daniels. They had the other guys on the roster. They went and added him. So he fits a skill set. He's by far the most experienced. They made the decision to add him. Clearly, they weren't content with the room they had. I just think there's a lot of circumstantial evidence to suggest that Daniels is going to be the guy, and ultimately, I think he will be. Now, will he keep the job? Will he play well enough to keep it? I don't know. I mean, we'll see as that transpires. But I think he's here for a reason. I think it's to be the starting quarterback this year.
That shocks me a little bit. I mean, it shouldn't, I guess. Like, all the things you brought up make sense. I just thought it was like when he transferred, it made no sense to me. But at the same time, it's almost like when a Vegas line comes out and you're like, well, something's off here. Like, because he wouldn't have transferred to LSU if he didn't think or had previous talks that he was going to at least contend for the starting job, right?
That's for sure. But I'll also say, I don't know, guys. This is I'll give you a little context here. So I have watched a lot of Arizona State football the last 3 years.
Gross.
Right. But I'll tell you why. Number one, so I'm a junkie. So I love Pac-12 After Dark. So I watch a lot. Like, I do the post-game show with T-Bob. LSU plays night games. We do a post-game show called Whiskey and Wine from a whiskey bar. We drink, smoke cigars, and do an unfiltered post-game show for 90 minutes. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
I get home, I just keep the party rolling, and I stay up till like 1:30 watching Hawaii or Arizona State or whoever's on. So that's one. Two, one of my friends is Ryan Clark from, you probably know, played at LSU. He's on ESPN. His son, Jordan, who I've seen Jordan grow up, around Baton Rouge. And Jordan was in the same class as Jaden Daniels. And then another kid who I've seen who went to the school that my wife works at and went to my high school, and I know their family. He walked on at Arizona State last year and actually played a ton. His name's George Hart. So I got a lot of connections to Arizona State and reasons that I was watching this team. And so I've seen a lot of Jaden Daniels. When he was a freshman, he had an awesome year. But he was also throwing to a first-round draft pick at receiver. That program the last 2 years, the dearth of talent and the just disaster that it's been under Herm it's hard. It's almost like what happened with LSU under Ogeron, although not the same degree, because you went from winning a natty and having the greatest season ever to fired in 18 months. But I don't pin every struggle on Daniels. And he is a dynamic runner, man. Like, if you ever go look up some of his highlights, when he wiggles free, like, he can hurt you. And we saw that today at practice. There was a play, the pocket was breaking down. He stepped up, held it, and then ultimately tucked it, rolled right, and 15 yards, scamper out of bounds. I mean, that's something the other guys in this roster can't do. I'm not telling you guys that I think he's like a pro prospect or he's an all-conference this or that. I'm just telling you what LSU's got. He's, I think, the best option, and he's better than most people give him credit for if all you do is just read his stat lines from 2021.
Right. What would be interesting? Oh, go ahead, Tyler.
Well, I was looking into Mike Denbrock, and I was with Kelly at Notre Dame for a bunch of years, and he's recently been at Cincinnati as the OC. Likes to use the tight end a lot. From what I gather, LSU's tight end room not great at the moment. Right. Last year, running the ball was a real issue for LSU, even despite the monster game against Florida, which I loved, by the way. 300 yards.
So good. It made no sense.
Yeah, because they ranked 13th out of 14 in the SEC in rushing.
Dude, I told you the week before we were down there for that Auburn game, and Mickey Sherman, who's in the commentary now, he was like, we're all hammered, right? Because we've been drinking all day. It's a night game. And he was like, oh, I don't understand why we didn't run the ball. I'm like, because you fucking can't run the ball, Mickey. Like, it's like your offensive line is terrible. Next week, he's like, I'm telling you, you got to run the ball. I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind, dude. And then next week, 300 something yard. That was fucking hilarious. In a day game.
Ty Davis Price went off for 3. It was an 11 a.m. kickoff. It was not just a day. It was a morning game. And Ty Davis Price ran for 3, which is an LSU record, 300 yards. But and they kept running the same play. It was the same counter action over and over. And Florida just never adjusted. It was so weird. Anyway, Grantham deserved to be fired after that. He totally deserved it. It was terrible. Anyway, but I don't even know what you asked me. Did you ask me anything?
No, I was just going to say, yeah, so I understand that they, watching Notre Dame, they had the amazing tight end Mayer up there. And Denbrock, he liked to use that at Cincinnati as well. Tight end room, not great. So what are they going to lean on? Because I know you lose Ty Davis Price, you lose Corey Kiner, the 2 leading rushers last year. You got John Emery back from the year off from the academic stuff. Noah Kane transfers in from Penn State. They're going to lean on the run game while they figure out quarterback, or what do you think the offense is going to look like to start the year?
So this might sound weird. I actually think Emery and Kane are a more talented pair than Ty Davis Price and Corey Kiner.
Right.
John Emery's just a weird scenario where he was a 5-star.
Yeah.
He was super high. He was committed to Georgia and LSU flipped him. He's from New Orleans. And he came in 2019, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire was just awesome. I mean, he had an All-America season. They won the Natty. So he was just a freshman who didn't play a ton. And then was the COVID year, and he averaged about 5 yards a carry, but it was just a weird year. And last year was supposed to be Emery's breakout year. And y'all, this, again, the dysfunction of Ogeron. John Emery was practicing with the first team up until the Thursday before the UCLA opener in the Rose Bowl. And then they found out he was academically ineligible, didn't play the entire season. How you don't know your starting running back is going to be academically ineligible is mind-boggling. They thought they were going to win an appeal. LSU thought they were going to win the appeal, and they didn't. And then he was ineligible. So Emery is super talented, versatile guy. Kane, same, had some injuries at Penn State, got Wally pipped. The bigger question, those 2 guys are talented. The bigger question is the offensive line. They're literally replacing all 5 starters from a line that was not good, by the way. I'll put it to you this way. You look ahead 10 years from now, and the guys that LSU is going to start against Florida State, more of them will be playing in the NFL than anybody from the last year's team. It's weird because Will Campbell's a true freshman who's going to be starting at left tackle.
Right.
Eric Dellinger is probably going to be playing center. He's never played center in his life. 2 starters are transfers that just got here. It's yeah.
And Miles Frazier was like an FIU guy, so it's a new level. Yeah,
and he's going to be starting at right guard. How do you build continuity? It's a unit that, as the season goes along, will probably keep getting better.
Right.
But from jump, I don't know. But to the point about tight ends, it's by a mile the thinnest spot on the roster. They brought a former baseball player out of a medical retirement.
Jesus Christ.
And he might be the starter. His name's Nick Storrs. Y'all remember Jason Taylor, who played for the Dolphins? His son, Mason Taylor, is a true freshman, and Brian Kelly today highlighted him. He said he's been one of the most pleasant surprises of camp, and he's going to play a lot for us. So I think Mason Taylor is someone that LSU is going to rely on heavily. But again, when you're relying on a freshman heavily, it speaks to the fact that
Mason Taylor, just a phenomenal porn star name too. So he's got that going for him. I think it's great. You missed a lot of the intro. We were talking about Tommy Lee's dick pic. It's been a whole thing. So we're trying to stay on brand. That's
just like my night last night with T-Bob. I mean, I do a show with T-Bob. I do a show with you. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
We'll wrap up and get you out of here soon, man. We appreciate you coming on. It's always fun time. But so my question is this: you have like Tyler brought up the Emery question, and that whole you brought up the debacle from last year. This defensive line, I remember who we're gonna have on after you, Chris Gordy. I remember saying this to him on his show last year. I was like, listen, LSU returns all 5 starters on the offensive line a year ago. they could be potentially the best offensive line, most improved in the league. And he was like, here's the problem, Chris. When you're not any good the year before and you're all returning, it doesn't matter. I was like, oh, okay. That makes sense.
I think Gordy stole that line from me.
Did he?
I think so.
I think the front seven.
Actually,
I don't even want to say
the way I said it ad nauseum was just because you return everybody from a unit that wasn't any good doesn't mean you're bad.
I feel like Cole Kubelik said the same thing too. But he
probably stole it from me too.
Yeah, I'll call him out on Twitter about that tomorrow at like 5 a.m. No, so I was going to say the D line is like I feel like it's not highly touted necessarily because we haven't really talked much about the outside of Derek Stingley. We really haven't talked much about LSU defense in a minute, right? The front seven has a chance to be a lot better. Outside of the Bama game last year, they could be disappointing at times. You got Bo Nix. I mean, that was tough. Where's the biggest area for improvement here? We were talking about Auburn yesterday, and the thing I kept trying to tell Auburn fans, besides that, like, they have no meaning in life, and there's really nothing they can do about that, is what worries about Auburn is that, like, if you go unit by unit, on their team, like over half of those players have to really, really, like, what's the word I'm looking for here, Tyler? Overachieve for them to reach their ceiling, right? It's a big word. It's a huge word. Yeah. I know all words.
As if I was supposed to pull that, like I knew you were going to go for overachieve.
What is going to be the strength? Like is BJ Ojulari going to finally like show out and kind of be that guy off the edge? Like what is going to be the strength of this defense? Because I feel like, I don't know if it's because, 2019, you guys just became, again, the greatest season of all time in that offense, but you really didn't have to still care about defense anymore, right? That's been a massive shift over the years.
But that defense in 2019, like, do you realize the talent that was on that team?
All I know is you gave up 400 yards rushing to fucking Ole Miss, and that's all I wanted to convince myself that Bama was going to win against them. After seeing that, I was like, John.
That was because LSU, I think, scored 60 on Ole Miss in the first half, and they were on the bus already. And they put John Rice Plumlee in, and they kept running the option, and he just kept running for like 70 yards.
Yeah,
but that team had Patrick Queen, first-round draft pick, Kayvon Chasson, first-round draft pick, All-American Derek Stingley, first-round, number 3 overall pick.
He got drafted this year based off that year.
Grant Delpit, who won the Thorpe, is the best defensive back in college football. Christian Fulton, who I think was a second-round pick. I mean, a whole bunch of linemen that I could name: Rashard Lawrence, Neil Farrell, Apu-Ika, by the way, who is about to be a first-round draft pick, Tyler Shelvin. My point is that defense was loaded too. Just nobody paid attention to it because Burrow was Burrow.
I knew we were going to talk about 2019. I fucking knew it.
You brought it up. I'll talk about 2019 all you want, dog. Look, hey, let's do this. Let's talk about this.
This is what I love to say.
Here we go. Let's talk about all the records that Joe Burrow set in 2019.
Do you have an updated ball for all the records that Mac Jones broke the next year?
Mac Jones didn't break any records, bro, in a fake COVID season. Get lost.
Is it like, be honest?
Got to play in front of 8,000 fans.
You're an LSU guy. That was basically, y'all didn't want more than 8,000 fans to see what we were doing to y'all in that 2020 game.
Yeah, that was brutal. Okay, so LSU's defense. If there's one thing that I would say that as they've gone through camp that I've become a little more bullish on, it would be the defense. I think Matt House is a really sharp guy. He was the DC at Kentucky. If you remember when Josh Allen had that the defensive end had 17 sacks, 21 tackles for loss. This was his DC. So you brought up Ojulari. It's very obvious they want Ojulari to be that. Like, that's going to be the role he plays on this defense. So if you're buying stock in BJ Ojulari, that's probably a good thing. Okay. They've got about 6 linebackers they're going to play, and I think you could be comfortable with any of them. Mm-hmm. Comfortable, not thrilled. Big difference. And the entire secondary is basically transfers. a lot of guys with a lot of accolades who have played a lot and are talented. But again, that cohesion thing, like we talked about with the offensive line, that's going to matter in the secondary as well.
Right.
I think I'm a little more bullish on the defense because I think they got enough talent and they're well coached. I think they're going to be okay there. Not great, but they'll be certainly competent enough to keep them in games and give them a chance. They got plenty of talent at receiver. They got skilled backs. The real question is, can the offensive line block for the running backs and keep the quarterback upright?
Right.
And I mean, that's really what LSU's offensive season is going to boil down to. And I don't have a great answer today.
Well, that's the only reason we fucking brought you on here, Matt. So thanks for nothing.
Well, I gave you my answer, which is I think they're 8-4. But what does that 8-4 look like, right? I mean, is that an 8-4 where you lose to Bama, Auburn, Florida, A&M, and you don't get any marquee wins? Is it an 8-4 where you win on the road at Florida and Auburn, but you lose to one of the Mississippi schools in your own stadium? Maybe. Yeah. That's where I think this season is going to be. Cumulatively, when you pull back after the season, take the 10,000-foot view, you're probably going to say, okay, it was a good year one for Brian Kelly. But I think when you put the microscope on it, there's going to be a lot of this,
right.
A lot of peaks and valleys. So that's usually not fun, as a fan, because when the peaks come, you get really excited that you're about to turn the corner, and then the valley comes and it sort of deflates you.
Yeah,
so
we're all okay, and I get it. I mean, for sure. I'm
What's
fucking
that?
Nothing.
I didn't hear you.
He said we've all done cocaine.
Oh, actually, I've never done cocaine.
Yeah,
me either.
Terrible.
Me either.
Yeah,
me either.
I've actually never smoked
weird. Yeah,
I've never smoked weed. Is that weird?
What?
That
My
is
girlfriend
weird.
doesn't know that either. I don't like. Do you eat gummies and stuff?
No.
You just adjust every
All
day.
right. Well, hey, the trip to Baton Rouge is gonna get weird then.
Yeah.
I drink whiskey. I drink
So the
a lot
whistle
of-
pick. Oh, shit.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, I'm
I
a
see
guy.
some Weller up there. You got the.
I mean, which one do you want? Oh,
Yeah,
Weller.
I see the antique.
Whole Weller vertical.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, damn.
Winkle's up here. Birthday bird. I mean, come on, dude. Like, what are we talking about here?
Oh, you got the birthday. Damn.
Yeah, come on, stop. I got
Love
to. Anyway, but I do that. I smoke cigars, but I've never smoked weed. It's just don't have friends that do it. Never been around it. Just never really sought it. So
I'm just surprised that T-Bob hasn't like roofied you at some point, just like for fun, like as a joke, because he's
that actually is a really good point.
I know. Dude, we appreciate you coming on for real. Pick out a game you want us to come down and drink all your bourbon. Bring up like political stuff against your will on camera.
God, I hate that.
It is genuinely a pleasure to have you on, man. We really do appreciate it. We'll have to get at you soon and tell everyone where they can find you as well.
If you can
your address.
If you can spell my name, you can find me online. Get the vowels right. Like old Vern Funquist there screwed up the vowels earlier. Moscona.
The only vowel I know, brother, is W. Getting them W's. You know what I mean?
In George.
I'm just gonna go.
Hold on. Last question. Have you seen the Tommy Lee dick pic yet?
No.
Okay. Here's what I want you to do. A little homework for you. Go look at the
I'm
dick
not
pic.
Googling Tommy Lee dick.
Take a gander. Who cares?
You know what? Don't Google it. Just go to his Twitter account and just look at
I'm gonna
the
get
0% chance.
My question is, who had
0% chance I Google Tommy Lee dick pic? 0%.
All right. I mean, that's not what I Googled, but still. All right. We'll just. Thanks again, man. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right, guys. See you.
Thanks. Oh, that was good.
All right, good. I don't want to send Gordy the link, but he's watching. Marler will be there. Huck will be golfing, though. I don't know if I should have said the cocaine joke.
Yeah, it was a bad joke.
Well,
I repeated it, though.
Take it out. Huh?
Take it out. Well, it's live. That's the thing. That's
what I just said.
And then the YouTube video will then go to the YouTube account and live forever. So
I don't think anyone is under the impression that I've just been living this fucking like sheltered life in my 20s. Like, I think we all know I stumbled into the starting line of this job and a little rough around the edges, brother.
So you gonna send the link to Gordy or
no? I keep forgetting. I've been trying to do that for actually a very long time now. Hold on. What do you think about Moscona?
He's a good dude, man. I'd like to hang out with him and drink some whiskey.
So he was like one of my favorite people at media days to get to like know and hang out with. And the very last thing he said to me as we were walking out of the bar Wednesday night was I don't even know how it came up. He just started talking about fucking Aaron Boone. And I was like, fuck right off, Matt. Like what? I don't want to have this conversation at all. He's a good dude though. Other than that.
Did you just meet him at this media days or was it a prior one?
Yeah, he had no idea who I was, which is fine. I mean, most people don't. Like my
Gordy's
dad
in the chat saying send him the link. So
Gordy.
Maybe we should have the whole conversation. We'll talk, and then Gordy responds in the chat.
Yeah, that'd be fun for him, right? Listen, that's the kind of attention we want our guests to have.
So Moscona definitely doesn't feel like Florida State's got a chance in that game, which just made me feel good.
Alex Mason. I heard the line had dropped, but apparently it had not. Alex Mason, yes, we have. It's August 26th. It's a Friday night. And it's gonna be from 7 to 9 p.m. It's gonna be a lot of fun, man. Again. I mean, this pod is now basically sponsored by American Spirit Works.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
also a huge shout out to my good buddy. I always feel weird calling him by his government name, David Booth, because I feel like when I say that, I just assume he shot Abraham Lincoln. But because I've always called him Booty, he's been a regular at the bar forever.
Well, the age thing, it doesn't make sense that he would have shot him, because that's what's so long
You've obviously not kept up with vampires or science, so I will say. Like I don't know what his actual role would be there because he's like I don't know if he 10 bar. I've never been to the American Spirit Works.
Have you sent Gordy the link?
Margaritas ever? I already did.
Okay, all right. He's not here, so I was just wondering.
Well, you know what? I can't control. I'm not his keeper. Okay.
Hell yeah, brother. Yeah. So yeah, we do. Oh, here he is. As for our next guest,
Pretend like you're asleep.
Not you, Gordy. God damn.
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to say, listen, even though the Red Sox are fucking abysmal, I see the shirt. Congratulations on having the best record in the AL because fuck the Yankees. God, Jesus Christ. Okay, hold on.
It's a Joe Burrow autographed football from 2019. I brought that with.
Does it have all the records on it?
Yeah, something like that.
I once got Bob Seger to autograph. Never mind. I'm not gonna do
Tommy Lee's
dick. Yeah, it was very weird.
I haven't seen it yet. It's been all the pictures I've seen. It's censored already.
Oh no! Listen, I'll show you where to go. So
it's right on his Twitter account.
We're all gonna do it together.
Should I share my screen and just put it on?
Dick. Okay. Yeah. Do you know? Put it. Can someone put it in the comments, please? Preferably not my girlfriend. Anyway, so Tommy Lee, huge dick. My question that I was going to try to ask Matt was, who had a bigger dick, Tommy Lee or Joe Burrow 2019? There were times that Joe Burrow could have pole vaulted.
It was Joe Burrow.
Yeah, for sure. All
By
right.
the way, so I've known you a while now, Marler. Matt Moscona and I go back to 2007. We worked at the same radio station together.
Really?
Yeah, he was producing and co-hosting afternoons. I was producing morning drive. So yeah,
he slandered you. I don't know if you heard that. He said that you stole his material.
Yeah, I probably stole that from him.
Oh man, no, that's the good stuff. Well, listen, welcome in. How you? Is that a White Claw?
Yeah, no laws or claws still in 2022. I know everybody and their brother have seltzers now.
Yeah.
White Claw's still the best. Unless you guys have a sponsored one, then that one's the best. But
we are sponsored by Claw Feinbaum. And fun fact, remember that was actually I talked to you about this at Media Days because I wasn't doing my actual job. And my biggest concern was
you did no work that week, by the way.
Fuck off, Gordy. I killed it this year. You're right, but I still killed it.
I'm still waiting. We did like an interview. That's lost in the annals of time.
I mean, here's the thing. I blamed you for this too. Because I didn't want to go out on Wednesday, and like as soon as
every night you go out. I mean, you got to prepare.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't. This is gonna shock you, but I don't prepare for a lot of things. So I stumbled to the finish line on that thing for sure because I forgot my credentials. I just remember sitting in the Publix parking lot eating cookies, like keeping up for with the other. Anyway, listen, I honestly overachieved this year. I killed it. This is my.
You did it. You did okay. I wish Tyler had been there to keep you in line, but
I know.
It was. I didn't realize. Also, I was the first to pat myself on the back because the Brian Kelly question. I didn't realize how many people did not think that was appropriate or okay.
I asked Brian Kelly if he was a sweater, and he said, yeah. He said he's a big-time sweater like me. So is Will Levis. Me, Will Levis, and Brian Kelly, all big-time sweaters.
I'm so fucking over all of the little quirks from Will Levis. We get it, dude. We get it.
Wow.
Locked on Kentucky in the chat.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's Lance.
How about that? I do a couple radio hits throughout the week, and one of the hits I did today, the first question they asked me was like, what's going on with Stoops versus Calipari? I'm like, that's what we're leading with? All right. Football's like 2 weeks away. We're leading with Calipari barbs, but yeah, that was pretty crazy.
You know, we were talking about this at the
Funny
start
thing
of the
is,
show.
we led our podcast with that tonight.
There you go.
We didn't talk about one part of it, which was my favorite part to watch, which was, for whatever reason, Auburn fans and Brian Harsin trying to like fucking just dunk on this moment for Kentucky fans as if they have a better program in either fucking sport.
Oh no, that's what all the Auburn fans were jumping in saying, like, we're what was it? We're in every sports school. Yeah. No, you're still kind of football for Bruce Pearl's done all right, but underachieved last year.
You know what? They beat Oregon State to get to the World Series, and that's all I really wanted. So
they definitely overachieved there.
Okay, so we've been talking LSU and previewing LSU. Moscona pretty much already did it, so we don't.
It's Moscona. Get it right, Matt Moscona.
Listen here, Moscona, Moscona, gold jacket, green jacket. Who gives a shit, huh? I'm very professional.
Hey, one position we didn't talk to him about are the receivers. Obviously, we know Boutte is back, and he's probably one of the top 3 receivers in the country. Exactly. Who else on that? I feel like LSU's always got receivers. Who else on the?
So real quick on that note. So it's there's a city south of New Orleans called Boutte, Louisiana. There's Houma Boutte, spelled exactly the same way, Boutte. Everybody has said Kayshon Boutte. He said this week, talking with reporters, it's Booty. He said it's pronounced Kayshon Boutte. So I don't know if you want to call him that. That's how he says it. You say it how you want. I'm still saying Boutte. I don't know. I can't adjust.
We were big fans of the.
By the way, my name's this, and it was like totally opposite. It's like 2 or 3 years ago. It was in the SEC. It was fucking obnoxious.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. There was an NFL guy recently too who said, "Oh yeah, you guys have been saying it wrong the whole time."
It doesn't matter, but it's gonna eat at me.
Whatever.
Take over the show.
Anyways, we were talking about how the tight end room is a little weak this year, at least in Kelly's first year. We know about Kayshon Boutte. Who else on the receiver? I
just wanted you to say Booty.
We were big fans of the Johnson to Boutte connection last year. That's all time.
It was in and out constantly. The other guys, Jack Besh I had him on at SEC Media Days. Great dude. Was really good as a freshman last year. Was a tight end. He's transitioned now to just a true receiver. He's still going to play out of the slot. The difference is they don't want him blocking, the big guys that are coming at him. But, he can, at wide receiver, he can block the corners and the DBs a little bit more than the linebackers and DNs. So Jack Besh is going to play that slot spot. Now, they have been playing Malik Neighbors a little bit in the slot as well. He's a guy who, last year came on towards the end of the year. Not that big, but like he had a couple moments where he went up over people and went up to get the ball. So it was like this class of these like great freshmen last year that came on as the year went along. It was Jack Besh, Malik Neighbors, and Chris Hilton was another guy. They have another guy, Brian Thomas. Like this whole group of receivers, they all have similar skill sets. They're all kind of built the same when you look at some of them. So of that group, I think Neighbors is gonna be the guy who plays the most. Then they've got Jaray Jenkins, who number 10. You can go back to like games 4 years ago. I think it was back when like Danny Etling was throwing passes to Jaray Jenkins. Like that's how long this guy's been around. It's nuts. And then they brought in a kid named Kyron Lacey, who transferred in from Louisiana Lafayette, who's number 2. In the spring, everything I saw of him, he was dropping everything. Like I was like, all right, this kid's not going to play. And then somebody told me a few weeks ago, like this kid is catching everything. I'm like, all right, well, clearly I read him wrong. But so that's kind of it. Then they have a true freshman in this class that was Landon Ibia. I don't know how much he's going to play this year, but like if you had to place your bets on how the receiving is going to stack up this year, it's going to be Boutte, who's going to lead you in receiving over 1,000 yards, blah, blah, blah. Then I think it's going to be Besh because he's going to get the most targets. He's your safety valve. Pass rush, come in, dump it off to Besh. And then I think it'll be Neighbors followed by Jenkins, maybe Hilton, something like that. So they have a good group. The problem is LSU's always very deep at this spot. Outside of those guys, they have really nothing. Like, so if they get injuries and, like, let's say Booty midway through the season decides to opt out and goes, hey, I'm gonna be a first round pick. See you guys. Peace. And then Jaray Jenkins gets hurt or Jack Besh gets banged up. They're really going to be in a bind for receiver depth. So anyway, I say all that to say, like, that's a catastrophic scenario, but it could absolutely happen.
It could definitely happen, Gordy. Trust me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, like, before you know it, you're playing for a championship and you got like Chris Marler running routes out there. You have nobody to catch the ball.
Just the opposite of crisp, for sure. So I think, like, the Booty thing, I remember breaking this down because people really didn't understand not like how great he is or how good he is, because it doesn't really, like, it doesn't make sense to me what he does so well. It's kind of like Devontae Smith. Like, he's not like physically imposing. He's not like I don't think he's like a 4.2, 4.3 guy. He's just a very, very good receiver, good route runner, all that kind of stuff. And he's been the go-to guy. But people forget he accounted for 13 touchdowns. Like, from the start of the close of the 2020 season, I think it was like the last 3 games until he got hurt against Kentucky, he had 13 total receiving touchdowns. And LSU as an offense had 27 total 27 total touchdowns. So, I mean, he was the offense. Do you think that's where they find success? Is it like a Kiffin type deal where you like hone in on that guy and you get him the fucking ball 10 to 15 times no matter what? Or is it we have to find balance with Brian Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to get him. They're going to get him his targets. I think that was part of the conversation because keep in mind, he was going into the transfer portal this offseason, and they had to work hard to talk him into staying. In fact, there were message board rumors all out there. Alabama, he's going to Alabama, and he probably would have been the best wide receiver at Alabama right now.
Without a doubt.
I don't have any faith in any of these other guys, but like, had that happened, now if you're an LSU fan, you got to say you're thanks to the guy named Gordon McKernan, big attorney in Baton Rouge, stepped up to the bat plate, signed him to an NIL deal. And Keyshawn Boutille's like, man, I love Gordon McKernan, like tweet out on Instagram or whatever. Like, so like he was showing love to him. And like, this is the guy who basically saved LSU, their number 1 receiver. Now, the problem was when Brian Kelly came in, there was a coldness there with Booty. Like, he was not receptive to him and vice versa. And so they've kind of had to mesh that relationship together. And supposedly now they're on the same page and all is good, but that was a very sensitive spot. Whereas like you talk to Jack Besh and he's like, oh man, I love Coach Kelly when I first met him. I'm ready to play for him. Whereas Keyshawn was like, yeah, hey man, what are you going to do for me? Like, I'm a great receiver. It was kind of like that. They had to have that tough conversation.
Besh and Booty. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's not bad. And real quick, just to reiterate something, because I was diving into some numbers for my show on the quarterback battle. I know Matt Moscona talked about it a little bit, but Jaden Daniels being the number 1 guy, as I started to dive into like kind of what's happened the last few years with both Mike Denbrock at Cincinnati, who's the OC at LSU now, and the Brian Kelly teams, I could not believe these guys live off of running quarterbacks. Like, yeah. Mike Denbrock's had Desmond Ridder the last 4 years at Cincinnati. Like, you look at what Desmond Ritter's done. Desmond Ridder had over 500 career rushing attempts, 2,100 rushing yards at Cincinnati. And then I started looking at Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame just had Jack Cohen this year, who's a freaking statue back there. Like, he sucks. But before Jack Cohen, they had Ian Book for 3 years, who was a runner. They had Brandon Winbush for that one season, who had 800 rushing yards, 14 rushing touchdowns in 2017. In 2015 and 16, they had Deshaun Kaiser, who had 500 rushing yards both years. And then before that, they had Everett Golson, who had 8 rushing touchdowns in 2014. Brian Kelly and Mike Denbrock love running quarterbacks. So when you realize that, you're like, holy crap, like Jaden Daniels is the guy, right? Like Miles Brennan can't run. Garrett Nussmeier can't run. So like Jaden Daniels, almost 300 rushing attempts for 1,300 yards in his career, 13 rushing touchdowns. This is the guy. This is what they value in a quarterback.
Garrett Nussmeier just sounds like the kind of person that whenever he is standing, his arms would be behind his back, like Patton, like a general. Like, he just seems very rigid with great posture. The Jaden Davis stuff,
his dad was the OC at Bama, right? At one point.
For the kick six year. Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Great year.
Great times. Honestly, I think my favorite thing about Garrett is that he doesn't shut down emotionally like his daddy did. So, anyway, moving on. So I think like we talked about a little bit the schedule. The schedule is tough, man. Like, and I don't find myself a lot of times looking at an LSU team and not like looking at, a majority of their schedule and been like, I'm at least going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, yeah, it should be like, I'm not saying it's a guaranteed win, but like they should probably pull that out, right? There's just been so many things that have happened over the past couple seasons, which, say what you will about like the end of the Orgeron era. I think Brian Kelly's a great coach. Give me a game, give me two. One that could be like a catalyst to like maybe take this team to like, I don't know, like to their ceiling. Maybe it's 9-10 wins. Maybe it's more. And on the same note, give me a game that like could cause everything to go off the rails.
The first two games in October are absolutely brutally important for this team.
Right.
We know they open with Florida State, and Tyler, thoughts and prayers to you. By the way, are you going to that game?
Potentially.
Okay. Well, come
What
on
the
down.
fuck?
We'll meet up at Cat's Meow and Bourbon. We'll do some karaoke before the
Tyler, if you
before
go
the
to a
game.
fucking LSU FSU game without me, I'm going to punch you in the dick.
Chris, you literally told me that I don't want to go to that game. That's what you said.
I didn't mean
I'm
that.
just gonna-
I don't want to go to that. Well, that's not what I said. I said I don't want to do the radio show before. Anyway, go.
Come on,
back-
dollar beers, all night karaoke at Cat's Meow. Like, what more can you want pregame for LSU Florida State? Anyway, LSU's going to win that game, most likely. Then they get Southern. They get Mississippi State. I don't want to gloss over Mississippi State, but they owe them one, right? Like 2 years ago, KJ Costello coming in right after the championship game, and that was just god awful.
The newest saint, KJ Costello. Chris, I tweeted you.
He's alive?
Yeah, he's a saint. How about that?
And hold on. He already has a job? They just found him. He already has a fucking job?
He was a
What's he been
Charger briefly, I think, right after college.
He was running credit card charges at like a fucking Costco. That's what he like, not a Charger.
But anyway, so like I don't want to gloss over Mississippi State, but let's just assume they win. Like that one might be the one. If they lose that one, yeah, they're in for a world of hurt as the season goes. They're going to beat New Mexico in week 4. After that, their first true test is at Auburn. And every time I say this, people are like, "Oh, Auburn sucks," whatever. Like going into Auburn is still a tough place to play. Even like there's just some venues in this conference, even when a team is down and they're sucking, it's still a hostile environment to go into, and it's tough to win games there. It just is. So
it's the fucking swag surf for all those white kids.
So I put that one and Bruce Pearl in there with his shirt off. October 1st to me is the game that like if they win that one, you're 5-0. You've already kind of, I don't want to say exceeded expectations, but like you're kind of ahead of the curve here. And now you're like, all right, hey, this is going to be a good year. You lose to Auburn. The next week you come back home and play Tennessee. We think that's going to be a night game, but LSU fans are scared to death that that's going to be a early, like one of those early 11 a.m. games. But
Tennessee off a bye.
It's the same weekend as Bama A&M, so it almost has to be a day game. Yeah,
it could be. We'll see.
Yeah.
But anyway, so if they lose at Auburn, they have potential to come back the next week, lose to Tennessee, and I mean then you're in a real tough spot where you still have to go to Florida, you still have to play Bama, you still have to go to Arkansas and A&M, and the losses could pile up there. So I look at that stretch, those first 2 weeks of October. If LSU goes into Auburn 4-0 and they find a way to win that one, they're 5-0. It's going to be a nice year for Brian Kelly.
And one thing about LSU fans too, and I mean this, which I would not say about a lot of other fan bases. Like I jokingly said that Heupel needed to he needed to cap his fucking wins at 5 at most last year. Like temper expectations, go into year 2 with reasonable expectations. He didn't do that. I think LSU fans have been in like they, as drunk as they always are. I feel like they also understand after 2019 and then what happened the following years, like, all right, just because we're 5-0 doesn't mean we need to be like, we're going to win it all. Like year 1 with Brian Kelly. Right. I do think it'd be interesting to see, like, I've been asking this, and it doesn't fucking matter really, but like, say you had, like, if Brian Kelly comes in year 1 and he goes 8-4, right? Which is kind of what would be expected. Like you don't do no splash wins or anything like that. That's fine. I think LSU fans would be okay with that. But if Brian Kelly comes in and goes 6-6, you have your ups and downs. The quarterback situation is kind of like an issue. Your offensive line sucks, and Emory somehow still hasn't like panned out. I don't know. But you beat Bama, right? Or you trounce A&M to close out the year. Would you trade that? Like, would you would you be fine with like a 7-5 and an actual like landmark victory in year 1 for him?
I mean, not really. I mean, because the problem is there's so many other potential landmark wins on there. Like it's the SEC, right? So I mean, like, okay, you beat A&M, great. I mean, that's LSU lives beating up on A&M. I mean, the few wins they got on them were the 1 year right after the championship where LSU was down, and I kept hearing A&M's going to destroy them, and they won like 20-3 or something. Kellen Mond was god awful in that game. Right. And then the other one was a stupid 7 overtime game where A&M got the benefit of the doubt on like 18 different questionable calls and whatever. But outside of that, LSU's dominated this series since A&M's been in there. So, I mean, would it be a big win to go into College Station, win and beat them? Sure. But like, no, I think LSU fans are looking at this realistically saying you go to Auburn, but Auburn's down. You go to Florida. Florida's in a transition with Billy Napier. They have a good team on paper. They have no depth. If Napier's group is banged up by October 15th, they're in trouble. You get Ole Miss, they're at home. That's a game you should win. Mm-hmm. Alabama's not winnable. Tennessee is a winnable game. Is Tennessee better with Hendon Hooker and Josh Heupel? Yes. But I think most LSU fans view that game as we should beat Tennessee. We've been a better program than them in recent history. So I think there's that. At Arkansas is a tough one. You played Arkansas close last year. It was a crap fest of a game in Baton Rouge. But, I think most people think KJ Jefferson's going to take that next step this year and get better. So anyway, I say all that to say, I think 8-4 is a fair. Like 8-4 sounds like high expectations for year one for Brian Kelly, but 6 wins. Like look at the schedule. 6 wins. 6 wins means you go what 2 and whatever. I don't know. 2 wins in the SEC. Like that's unacceptable. So I think people have a higher value. Like Brian Kelly's a better coach than that. He can come to LSU to go 6-6, right? If that's what he comes here and does, they're going to run him out of town in 2 years. So I think 8 wins is kind of what most fans are thinking, with the upside of if Jaden Daniels comes in and the offense is rolling and the defense is getting after it, and Allie Gay and all these guys are getting sacks, and the defense is, and Matt House has that defense fired up, like it could maybe LSU has an Ole Miss type run like Ole Miss did a year ago, 10 wins and a New Year's 6. That's like the ceiling, but it could happen. I could talk myself into it.
The Vegas win total is at 6.5. So if they had 6, it's not that far off. I'm just going to say. By
the way, Marler's video brought to us by AOL Dial-Up right now. What's going on with you? You're all pixelated.
Is it messed up again?
It is.
I'll get you one of the discs from Blockbuster. 20 more hours of free Wi-Fi for you.
And he's gone.
Damn, he froze.
All right, Gordy. So I take it the win total 6.5. The over is -125. The under is +105. I take it you're going over on the 6.5 then.
Yeah, I just think that there's too much talent on this roster. Now, the interesting part is, again, like with the quarterback thing, and I know y'all touched on the running backs, like everybody, there's been all this talk at LSU about Noah or John Emery, and then somebody tells me, Noah Kane is looking like this really good running back coming in from Penn State and transferring in. And I looked it up. Noah Kane's got like 200 carries as a running back. John Emery's got like 100. So like Noah Kane's way more experience. If he comes in and he's the starting running back and John Emery splitting time with him or backing up, then that makes a lot of sense. It's just funny. Like all the things I talked about around the SEC coming out of the spring, we're starting to get sidelined a little bit by some of the things that are happening. Like I thought, Haynes King won the job at A&M last year. He's clearly going to be the guy this year. And then I'm hearing people, no, Max Johnson is really making strides there. I'm like, all right, whatever. Then I guess I read that one wrong. Auburn, that one's so up in the air. I've been saying Calzada the whole time. Somebody told me the other day, don't cut out TJ Finley.
Bro, we did a space last night. They were talking about the Robbie Ashburn.
It's Robbie Ashburn, the kid from Oregon. He won like Player of the Day award a few days ago, and everybody was like, "Oh, this might be the guy." I'm like, dude, he won a practice. Like, chill out.
Wasn't he the MVP of the spring game too?
Yeah, but like nobody played
Malik Willis. So I mean, that is what's funny. Like
too soon.
The whole thing with Jimbo and Max Johnson, I feel like you could kind of see that coming because one. Nobody wants to see Haynes King, who looks like fucking Joffrey from Game of Thrones, like if he was a Skeletor. Like nobody wants to watch that kid play football. Apparently, he's like a freak athlete.
Yeah, it was funny. Somebody said to me yesterday, like I heard these two people arguing. They were like, who's the last good quarterback Jimbo's put in the NFL? And somebody said Kellen Mond. and I Googled Kellen Mond, and it said, Kellen Mond on the bubble may get cut by the Vikings. I'm like, dude, might not even make it 2 years in the NFL. Like, good Lord, Jimbo, what are you doing?
Are like in the top 10, top 15 all time in the SEC.
Yeah, Jimbo can really sell to these recruits and these recruiting classes like, hey, I'm going to get you to the NFL. Now, you won't stay there long, but I'm going to get you to the NFL. Like, that's all his quarterbacks at Florida State, Tyler. EJ Manuel, like Christian Ponder. All these poor dudes, first-round picks, and then, good Lord, 3 years later, they're selling insurance.
Jimbo's selling a Christian Ponder scheme for sure. All these fucking quarterbacks. I just thought Johnson was a logical fit. Johnson is like a more likable Felipe Franks in the fact that like nobody respects this kid at all. But at the same time, like he had the same exact numbers. He was 27-6, right? The touchdown interception ratio. That's what Felipe did in 2018. Nobody ever brought it up. I just don't think Jimbo knows anything about like a running back. Like Jimbo doesn't run from anything except for his problems. You know what I mean?
If they go with Max Johnson, it's the safe pick, right? Son of Brad Johnson, Super Bowl champion with the Bucs and all that. The problem with Max is he holds that ball way too long. Like that ball's got to come out quicker. And my God, have you seen the shakeup they've done at the A&M staff? Damian Craig, who's been a wide receivers coach at LSU and at A&M the last few years, they moved him. He's now coaching quarterbacks. The drill they were running at practice the other day was literally like run up to the line and just throw a jump ball. I'm like, if that's what he's coaching, good Lord, the quarterback position is going to suffer at A&M. But look, again, like if it's Max, it's a safe bet. But does that mean A&M goes undefeated? No. I mean, you're still going to lose 2, 3, maybe 4 games with Max Johnson. So I just wonder, like I keep hearing from the A&M fans, and I know we're bouncing around all over college football in the SEC.
Follow-up question anyways.
But like I keep hearing from A&M fans like, yeah, this is our year to get ready for next year. I'm like, good God, like how many years are you going to do this? Like, guys, you've been in the conference a decade. Eventually, you've got to win the West, right? Like one year you got to do it.
I mean, I can't. I just can't. Like you forget they went 8-4.
Yeah. And like here's the craziest part, like how we get hoodwinked and the media and all the voters and everything. Like they're preseason top 7 and top 5 in some of these polls. And I'm like, are we ignoring that they went 8-4? And like, like if you want to use the quarterback was hurt excuse, okay. But like, explain to me how their quarterback situation is drastically improved from last year. Unless you think that like a bunch of these 5-star D linemen that they brought in are going to get 1 million sacks as true freshmen, then okay, then they'll have a Georgia-like defense and they'll win games that way. Okay.
With
but
DJ
like,
Jerkin.
It's crazy too. Like USC was god awful last year, right? They went 4-8. They gained this offseason Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
People have them. They are 15th in the freaking coaches poll. I'm like, that's still a terrible team. Like Lincoln Riley isn't good enough to take you from 4-8 to undefeated.
Don't they have
mind-boggling?
Most like Tyler, you brought this up, right? Like, don't they have like the most like future bets like to make the playoff or some shit like that?
So no, to win the championship.
Waste of freaking money. First off, Lincoln Riley never won a championship when he was at Oklahoma with Heisman Trophy winners.
Yeah.
Now he's going to go do it with the crap. Look, USC gave up 62 points to UCLA last year. Like that doesn't get better with Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley, I think LSU just scored another touchdown on him from the 2019 playoff. Like it's so bad. Like I just like how does Lincoln Riley dupe us all and get the benefit of the doubt? And we're sitting here literally on this podcast and you're telling me, so Brian Kelly 6-6, huh? How does Brian Kelly not get the benefit of the doubt? He's a better coach than Lincoln Riley.
Because Brian Kelly is not, he's off-putting when he gets mad. He's like, you right now are got a little Brian Kelly in you. You're red-faced and you're mad.
A little sweaty.
I dig it. No, I'm always sweaty. That's why we're friends. But no, you're right. Like, I mean, like it is odd. Like I really feel like this offseason, especially I've noticed more and more the confirmation bias that people are just digging in on for certain things, certain teams, like in a I guess an adverse way, Texas is never going to be good at football again. I don't know if you know that.
Well, like real quick on Texas. So I dug into the numbers on them. They went 5-7 last year.
Right.
I think 4 or 5 of their losses were by 1 score or less.
Right.
So like I can make a case Texas should have won 9 games last year. And so had they done that, like in other words, they're close. Like Sark, man, you flip those games this year, you win 9 games this year, 9, 10 games, everybody will be throwing you a parade. So like they're close. Lincoln Riley and USC to me, like, and I know they have a bunch of transfers come in. I know you got Addison from Pitt. I know you got some transfers on that defense. I just like they didn't overhaul the entire roster that is suddenly going to make them the kings of the Pac-12. It's just Oregon's still
and they're
good.
in the same division as Utah, who's like the clear cut.
Utah's still good. Yeah, I mean, there's all these other teams that are good. I just don't like. I need somebody to explain to me, like, why does Lincoln Riley consistently get the benefit of the doubt? Yet, like somebody like Brian Kelly, oh yeah, great coach at Notre Dame, but he'll go 6-6 at LSU. Why?
Do you think part of this is because you're upset you guys didn't get Lincoln Riley?
Maybe, that might be part of it. No, it is what it is. They went after him, and whether he duped them or whatever, it's pretty good consolation prize, right? Getting Brian Kelly. I think
long term it's a better fit, and I think that. I mean, Lincoln. I don't think Lincoln duped you guys. I think he fucking panicked after he lost, and like, whatever. He's been a very odd offseason. I will say that the benefit of the doubt he's gotten at USC with nothing, and like even their NIL shit is like is awful, right? Like they don't seem to have a grasp and a handle on really anything in that program yet. I would pull for Oregon State to be Lincoln Riley. I honestly think I would do that because I think that is a top 15 from 4-8 is kind of outrageous.
From all the talk that he was running away from the SEC when he took the USC job, do you think he shit his pants when they joined the Big Ten? He's like, oh,
no, the Big Ten. I think he shit his pants when he ate that brisket he made. And it probably looked the exact same. Okay, let's get you out of here on this because Dan's going to fucking kill us since we've he's just going to be mad. He wants to go to bed. Let's do 3 questions. They're not going to be dick related. It's fine. We'll do that next time. Tyler, you want to start?
What? I only do dick questions. You start.
That's his thing, dude. That's his thing.
Oh, Lord.
Dick Jaggers, what they call them. All right.
If you could mold a hot dog into any shape, go ahead.
Okay. All right, I'll give you one question because I kind of want to get into like some of the national stuff. And by the way, I always give you a shout out when you're on here, but in general, like you do such a great job. I didn't realize until you brought it up on here publicly how much more content you pumped out than I did last week. That's been good for you. Yeah,
we're still pumping out the SEC Media Days content. David Cutcliffe on the podcast right now. Great stuff.
I saw that. That's awesome. So you had Connor on there too. You didn't have me, but that's fine.
Yeah, anyway. Connor O'Gara does an awesome job over at Saturday Down South.
He does for sure. So what I was going to say was, who do you think? Like, give me a breakout player that we have not, or team that we have not been discussing. If you say Oregon State, I'm going to fucking punch you through this computer. But like, who is a breakout player or a breakout team? It could be SEC or nationally that we haven't been talking about yet.
So I've been in the lab with my pen and my pad working on this. 5 under the radar SEC players to keep an eye on this year. You ready for this?
No.
Okay.
1.
Auburn wide receiver Coy Moore coming in from LSU. Auburn's got some issues at wide receiver, finding consistency there. I think Coy Moore is going to be a nice surprise for Auburn this year.
Better than Roy Moore.
Georgia cornerback Nyland Green may not start the year as a starter. I think he's going to play a ton of football this year. They're still trying to figure out who's going to be that clear number 2 opposite Keely Ringo. I think Nyland Green's going to play a lot of football. Florida linebacker Derrick Wingo. Again, may not start the year, but I think he's going to play a lot down the stretch. This other guy, this is kind of an obvious one. Jaheim Bell at South Carolina. I don't know if you've read up on him, but they want to make him the next Deebo Samuel. Like, he's positionless. Like, I know he played tight end last year, 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, but like they want to get him the ball involved everywhere. So like he's one I think is going to be a big factor for South Carolina. And then Texas A&M, I know just shit on their quarterback play, but wide receivers, true freshmen, by the way, Chris Marshall and Evan Stewart. If you follow them in the spring, everybody was gushing over Evan Stewart. He catches everything. He's only like 5'11", but he's like extending, going over people's heads and stuff. So I think both those guys are good. By the end of this year, we'll be looking back going, Chris Marshall and Evan Stewart had breakout freshman years at A&M. And really, like, I know they're playing Anaya Smith, like running back turned wide receiver and all that, but like, who's the last big time wide receiver that you remember at A&M? I mean, Mike Evans is the big one.
Christian Kirk and Mike Evans.
Yeah, Christian Kirk. I mean, it's been a while since there's been like a big time
Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, you had him, quarterback / wide receiver. Yeah. So, But
That's
anyway,
good.
I think Marshall and Stewart are going to have big years for A&M this year. So there you go. There's your 5 under the radar SEC players that I've been
Oh,
working
we got
on.
2 more non-Dick related. Go. If you guys have one in the comments.
No, we got to get out of here, Chris. Dan needs the podcast.
Tyler wants to see his family.
Chris,
all right, well,
Gordy.
guys, that's the dedication we have to you guys. Preseason preview show just strictly LSU. Gordy, tell everyone where they can find you. And by the way, so we are coming to we're coming to Baton Rouge again. I'm gonna do my best to not ignore all my friends that I'll never see. Because
let's get together at a tailgate and you can disappear for 3 hours again. That'll be awesome.
I was in an emotionally tough place.
Was that her name? Emotionally Tough? That was her name? The girl you were following?
Tell everyone where they can find you.
Locked On SEC is the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. We're on YouTube now, so you can watch the video version. And maybe one day we'll get Tyler on first to preview LSU Florida State, and maybe somewhere down the road we'll get Marler back.
Get Will on. All right, we'll talk to you.
All right, that's it for tonight.
All right, guys.
Appreciate it, Gordy. Thanks,
Gordy.
All righty, Chris, that's the end of the podcast.
Fuck you guys. I'll talk to you later.
Hey, everybody come to the live event.
Okay.
All right,
bye.
Goodbye. Bye, guys.